Ave Maris Stella.
Hello and welcome back to Vatican II in a Year. This is your host, Father Matthew Schneider. I am a priest of the Church of Christ and a theology professor. This is a podcast on the Star Cross Production Network at sqpn.com. Today we're on day 316. We're covering Gaudium et Spes 32 on God made us as social beings. If you want to follow along, we have a reading plan and more details at sqpn.com/Vatican or frmatthewlc.com/Vatican. Yesterday we spoke about how we need to help people in education, poverty alleviation, and civic involvement. Today we are concluding Chapter 2, the community of mankind. And the topic is, we were made for community, and Jesus offers himself to build up the community of the church. We just have paragraph 32, which has 5 subparagraphs. We'll read in 4 parts. A, man is created for community. B, Jesus lived in the Israelite community during his lifetime. C, Jesus offered himself for all humans as brothers. D and E, Jesus founded the church to continue his mission in solidarity. Let's begin. A, as God did not create man for life in isolation, but for the formation of social unity, so also it has pleased God to make men holy and save them not merely as individuals, without bond or link between them, but by making them into a single people, a people which acknowledges him in truth and serves him in holiness. So, from the beginning of salvation history, he has chosen men not just as individuals, but as members of a certain community. Revealing his mind to them, God called those chosen ones his people, Ezekiel 3, and even made a covenant with them on Sinai. This paragraph begins by reminding us that God created us for a community. That is such an important reality. And one of the aspects that I often refer to as a difference between Catholicism and Protestantism is that in Catholicism, we have us and God. Not just me and God, we also have us and God. A Protestant view often just reduces it just to me and God and forgets that aspect of community. God saves us in community. He doesn't just save us in this abstract reality. If you look at the Old Testament, he saves the Kahal Israel, the community, the people of Israel. The new community, the new people, is the church. God has always worked this way. God started in the covenant Sinai with Moses and led his people to salvation through the Old Testament. Even though they fell a bunch of times, he still led them. So when we ourselves fall, we shouldn't get discouraged. Moving on, 32b is about Jesus lived in the Israelite community in his lifetime. So Jesus lived this community during his lifetime. Let's read it. This communitarian character is developed and consummated in the works of Jesus Christ. For the very Word made flesh willed to share in the human fellowship. He was present at the wedding at Cana, visited the house of Zacchaeus, ate with publicans and sinners. He revealed the love of the Father and the sublime vocation of man, in terms of the most common of social realities, and by making use of the speech and the imagery of plain everyday life. Willingly obeying the laws of his country, he sanctified those human ties, especially family ones, which are the source of social structures. He chose to lead the life proper to an artisan of his time and place. So we see here how Jesus is living his people. He's living with the people of Israel, living that community. He is not individualistic. He lives ethically, following the law of God's people, of the people of Israel. And it revealed the Father in common realities, in those interpersonal relationships, in those social relationships. I could just imagine him at the local festival or something like that, right? And that is what he did. He sanctified that reality. He sanctified the family. He sanctified all those closer ones, and he showed finally the value of work. Need to take a break here. I just noticed I've just talked. And let's move on to paragraph 32c. Jesus offered himself for all humans as brothers. Let's read it. C. In his preaching, he clearly taught the sons of God to treat one another as brothers. In his prayers, he pleaded that all his disciples might be one. Indeed, as Redeemer of all, he offered himself for all, even to the point of death. Greater love than this has no one, that one lay down his life for his friends. John 15. He commanded his apostles to preach to all peoples the gospel message, and the human race was to become the family of God, in which the fullness of the law would be love. Jesus is here teaching us that all human beings are siblings. He prays for unity. He prays for our unity as human beings altogether, and he also prays for, and that is an important aspect of what we do in modern times with things like ecumenism, because it is not just, hey, we want to reunite the church. No, we want to unite the church for the purpose of this reality, for the purpose of bringing this to Jesus. And so what did he do? He offers himself for all. He has this greater love has no man than to lay down his life for his friends. That is what Jesus did. He's not just saying abstractly that. No, he laid down his life. And finally, he asked us all to preach it to all the winds, to all peoples. And this is how we become the family of God, show the fullness of love. We preach it to all. So, moving on to our last section, paragraphs D and E are talk about Jesus founded the church to continue his mission in solidarity. D, as the firstborn of many brethren, and by giving us of his Spirit, he founded after his death and the resurrection a new brotherly community, composed of all those who receive him in faith and in love. He did this through his body, which is the church. There everyone, as members one of another, would render mutual service according to the different gifts bestowed on each. E. This solidarity must be constantly increased, until that day on which it will be brought to perfection. Then, saved by grace, men will offer flawlessly glory to God as a family beloved of God, of Christ, and of Christ their brother. Jesus founded the church as a place for this community. He built it on those who receive him in faith and love. We are the church, but we are here as we are faith and love, as we come through faith and love, as we are part of this community, this family of the church. And this is an important aspect to think. We are continuing Jesus' mission in this aspect as members of his church, members of his body. And we need to keep working more on solidarity. We need to have that come together. And where is that going ultimately? That's ultimately going towards the eschaton, the final day. When Jesus comes again, we're all resurrected with him, where we'll have every knee will bend and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is God, to the glory of God the Father, right? Philippians, letter to the Philippians. This is what we are preparing for. This is what our community, our solidarity, the church is moving towards. We are not just a church here, but we are the church in the end times, the church in heaven, in the resurrection. That's where we're going towards. So thank you for listening to this episode of Vatican II in a Year. This is a listener-supported podcast, and you can donate to help StarQuest produce it and other great podcasts at sqpn.com/give. You can give one-time, monthly, or join the StarQuest Patreon. Tomorrow we're going to start Chapter 3, Man's Activities Throughout the World, and that will be a continuation of the next paragraphs of Gaudium Spes. That's going to be 33 and 34 on human activity as part of God's will. Please join us then to learn more about Vatican II, which can provide a blueprint for the Catholic Church. Go to sqpn.com/Vatican, frmatthewlc.com/Vatican, or Vatican SQPN on Facebook and X. If you want more information on the podcast, such as playlists for individual documents and a reading plan. We have also set up an email for questions and comments, and that's available at Vatican2@sqpn.com, and my own website, frmatthewlc.com, has a contact form. Amen.